Welcome back to First Look, the information hour here on Antigua and Barbuda today on a Tuesday morning. All right, our first interview, our first guest here this morning, here with me is Dr. Hazra Medica, the cultural advisor and project manager of the ICH project, and along with her is Dr. Reginald Murphy, the UNESCO's National Commission's secretary. Good morning, gentlemen and lady. Thank you so much for joining us here on Antigua and Barbuda today.
Good morning. Thank you for having us, Mr. Andrews.
All right, certainly. Let's, first of all, Mr. Murphy, congratulations on your national honor. It's the first time I'm seeing you since November.
Thank you.
In 2023. All right, let's start with the ICH project. What is the ICH project?
That is a good start, but I think before we start with the ICH project, we've got to talk about the convention that led to the ICH project.
Okay. Yeah,
and
for
ahead. That, I'll let Dr. Murphy, the veteran batsman, lead off with the chat.
All right, Dr. Murphy, you're up.
Well, as you know, UNESCO has conventions that guide their policies, the policies established by the UN. Like, for example, you have the World Heritage Convention, you have the Convention Against Doping in Sports, you have the Convention Against Protection of Underwater Cultural Heritage, and this one is the 2003 Convention for Safeguarding the Intangible Cultural Heritage. And Antigua is signatory to that maybe about 2015 or 16, I think. We signed on to that convention. And we're now getting around to actually looking at the benefits for Antigua and implementing some parts of it.
All right, so this is the juicy part now. What are you guys trying to implement?
What are we
trying to implement?
Well, the convention is there. We have to, it's safeguarding our intangible. When you think about it, what is our intangible cultural heritage?
Okay.
I mean, so the way I see it, everything that's tangible has an intangible component. You can't separate them. Mm-hmm. Even the World Heritage Site is built by people and using traditional methods, traditional materials. And it's part of our, sort of what I call it, our deep culture. We do things without realizing what we're doing. And this has a lot of significance for the maintenance of these places, for the building, the memory, places of memory, and what makes us Antiguans, what makes us a unique people. So that's all a part of our intangible cultural heritage. And you can't separate it from the natural heritage or traditions of the beach and the cooking and all that sort of thing. It's all one big component that defines us as a people. And it's important that we recognize that and safeguard aspects of it because, as we all know, Antigua is changing fast. The whole world is changing fast. And what do we keep? What do we want to remember? What do we want to protect? What do we want to teach our kids? What makes us unique? What separates us from being, what other islanders, in a sense, even though we have one pan-Caribbean broader culture. So we have to look at these in their own sort of light. And UNESCO wants us to get a selection of them, keep an inventory, research them, safeguard them, come up with policies, make sure you have education programs that include this sort of activities and keep that tradition going. And but we have to decide, first of all, as a people, what is most important to us. And this is where Dr. Medica comes in. She's the person who will run with that.
Just your role in all this.
I am the project manager for the ICH project. Now, the long title of this project is Strengthening the Capacities for the Implementation of the 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage in Antigua and Barbuda. From here on, we're going to call this project the ICH project. We don't want people to spend too much time trying to memorize that long title. So it is the ICH project from now. It was 2020 that we received news that we got funding for this project. And as you know, 2020 wasn't a great time to start a project, especially a project of this very large scale. It is a mammoth project. And so there has been delays. The delays were initially due to COVID, and then there were other unfortunate circumstances that led to further delays. So now we're ready to get the ball rolling. So what is the ICH project? The ICH project it has several components. The major component is the inventorying of our intangible cultural heritage. So Dr. Murphy would have explained what intangible cultural heritage is. So, and just to reiterate, it's when you think of, for example, fungi or pepper pots or the way we speak or, the coal pots from Seaview Farm, it's not just these objects, but it's the knowledge and skills that's been passed on from generation to generation as to how to continue, making the coal pot, how to make fungi. When we talk about intangible cultural heritage, that is what we're talking about, and it encompasses so much more. So the project will have the major component is inventorying the intangible cultural heritage elements in Antigua and Barbuda. And it's important to remember that Barbuda is involved in this. And within that inventorying process, it will be largely community-based, because the incredible thing about this convention and our obligations under this convention is that they don't want to see, well, Dr. Murphy and Dr. Hazra Medica says that this is Antigua and Barbuda's intangible cultural heritage, or you have a host of government officials saying this, or the usual suspects in terms of ICH stakeholders and actors saying this. They want the inventorying to be done at the community level. So we will be training members of the communities to go about gathering information about what obtains as intangible cultural heritage in their communities. So that's the larger part of the project, and this is a 19-month-long project. And so the inventorying process will take 15 months. We have done some desk research, and at this point we can reduce that. We see that we can reduce that time. In addition to the inventorying process, we also have 2 pilot safeguarding exercise, because what we have to remember, this project isn't about just inventorying for the sake of inventorying. It's inventorying for the sake of safeguarding, so we know how to, so we will be able to identify the intangible cultural heritage elements. We'll be able to know what their viability status is, what's dying, what's on the way out, what's still vibrant, and then to plan for the future, to safeguard them. So we have 2 pilot safeguarding activities, and a lot of people are very enthused about these, and it's something I fought hard for, because when I first submitted the proposal, I was told, nix those 2. Just focus on the workshops, the training workshops, and the gathering of information and the creation of the inventory of the inventory. And this will be our first ever national inventory of intangible cultural heritage. And I had a 2-hour chat, and I convinced them that I couldn't come back to the people of Antigua and Barbuda and tell them, we're going to be having a bunch of workshops and we're going to have an inventory at the end. I know our people too well, because this, I should backtrack by saying that this comes at the end of 8 months of consultations with stakeholders. So it wasn't just that Dr. Murphy and Dr. Medica got together and said, let us draft a proposal. It was after 8 months of proposal. I remember being in Bethesda at 10 p.m. one night and getting lost at the end, but it comes after intense consultations, and we had people submitting project ideas as well, and some of those project ideas are what you will see in terms of the pilot safeguarding activities. The boat building program is one where we'll have a traditional boat builder train youths how to actually build a seaworthy vessel, and that would be a tradition inspired. So it might not be the vessels of old, but it will certainly be a tradition inspired vessel. And we have the maritime stakeholders who have agreed to assist us with that. So just to backtrack a bit, we talk about the ICH project. So we got funding from the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund to the tune of $97,754 US, and then we also have a private and civil sector contribution of around 46,000 US, and of course the government's contribution is around 309,000 USD, and that is mostly in kind.
Okay. Well, I saw the revival of the Worry
Yes.
program as well.
Yes, that is the second component.
Okay.
So as I said, it's a large project. help us. It's a large project, so that will be led by the Antigua and Barbuda Warrior Academy under Mr. Trevor Simon.
Okay.
So it would have been one of the projects that would have been submitted to us, and we chose because we chose it based on the level of sustainability and on their history of ensuring the continuity of Wari. And many people would know that Antigua is considered, or I hope they would know, Antigua is considered the last bastion of Wari in the Caribbean. And we have, on the international stage, we have been beating people left, right, center, up and down, all that sort of thing. We have, right, and we have Mr. Trevor Simon CN, who is a grandmaster by how many times. And unfortunately, we lost Mr. September Christian, who also worked very hard on getting the proposal to us. So the Wari program will see the training of 550 youths, and also, I think, 50 members of community groups, companies, that sort of thing. And the Warrior program is not only about teaching the youths about the history and the intricacies of the game, but also it will involve training a selection of youths how to become trainers. And beyond that, I don't know if you have ever attempted to buy a Warrior board in Antigua.
Not really.
Yeah, well, they're not cheap. And in terms, yes, and in terms of accessibility, what we have also built into that program is a Wari board making program. So we will have a master board maker who will teach our youths, both those in the technical and vocation schools, as well as those in the Her Majesty's prison, or is it His Majesty's prison now? His Majesty's prison, how to build the boards. And what these two programs will do is that it's not just about building for the sake of, oh, this is an old-time thing, or teaching them, oh, this is an old-time thing that we have to pass on to the younger generations before it's die. It's also opening up employment opportunities for them, because the maritime, there's so many opportunities in the maritime industries, but how do you enter if you do not have the skills? And that's what the boat building program will do. What we have planned, and previously we would have engagements with labor and education, and these are stakeholders we're now going to have to re-engage in discussions. But the plan is to localize occupation, have localized occupation standards, certification, that sort of thing. So when you're done with this boat building program, you just don't go, yay, I built a boat. But you know, there can be some certification. You can take that certification and say, well, I know how to, what's a component of boat building? Putting up a mast?
And that is that, but the quality of woodwork.
Right.
And the ability to sail. Well, Antigua is a big sailing yachting community. And just go to Dockyard and look at the classic boats. They're all built in Carriacou. You go to Guadeloupe, they have boats that are built there. You go to Anguilla, they have boats that are built there. We're the only island that's not continuing that tradition. And it's a great loss, I think, for us culturally. And you see, if you can build a boat in Carriacou and bring it here, and they sell like hotcake, and they have their own class in the classic regattas and the sailing week. And they're very, very competitive. I mean, these things sail around, circles around some of these big fancy international yachts. So it's a matter of keeping these traditions alive, because that was so important to us historically. That's what we all traveled on, well, ancestors traveled on for centuries. And the Deepwater Harbor comes, containers come in, and the whole thing collapses. And you look at like the Point area. You can, as you drive along, going down towards Point, there are boats being built all along the waterfront. That's gone now. Same thing in Old Road. Every community has its own specialist. Parham had their own, English Harbour had their own, and these traditions are long gone. And so to repair an old traditional boat or to build one, it doesn't happen anymore. And it's, but yet there's a demand for, on the international scene at the higher level for these traditional vessels. They are considered, crafts of excellence, and they're collectors who want them and will buy them. So if you can get a bunch of young guys and train them how to build these things, sell it and build another one with the money from that, and or whatever it is, or go and work in the yachting industry, because right now I tell you can't find good qualified Antiguans in the woodworking yachting industry in Antigua right now. I can tell you that as a fact. There's a need for qualified. I mean, they talk about somebody who can knock up a shed. The craftsmanship has to be, spot on. It has to be at a much, much higher level. Because your life in that person's hand when you're in that water out there. So you have to make sure you have a boat that's going to survive and yet be aesthetically beautiful. So it's it's an important skill to learn and an important position, I think, put yourself in as a young person wanting a niche in the market.
You've been at this for a while now, and I mean, you know better than anyone else that I can say. The intangible stuff, the intangible cultural heritage, like in different. I know in Single Farm you said the coal part, you know, the clay and the coal part. I mean, just give me an example of other intangible cultural heritage that you guys are trying to do across the island.
Well, it's the way I think about it is everything we see and do. You can't separate tangible and intangible. For example, steel band pan. What is a steel band pan without the pan man, without the music writer, without the music, the songs, the type of music that's being played, the festivals that come up around the pan, the activities that happen with that. Same thing with our carnival and national festivals. It creates a whole, it's all a cultural explosion.
Costumes.
Yeah, the costumes, and it's all a big spin-off. So it's one big web, and the more you try to unravel it, the more complicated it gets. But it all leads to one thing: our national festivals and our national celebrations, and the pan and the types of music, the iron band. You know, it's a bunch of junk. When you get it all together, it makes beautiful music. So it's the intangible and the tangible merged together, and it's an expression of our culture, which is important. I mean, when you think of the amount of the impact the Caribbean region has had on culture internationally. I mean, Jamaica just got another component to this is we can actually offer some of these things to be listed on the international level of intangible cultural heritage and recognized just as high a status as the World Heritage Sites. Jamaica just got reggae music listed internationally on the intangible cultural heritage list.
Okay.
The Bahamas, they just got their John Canoe Festival listed. So these, there's something to strive for. And there's funding, there's assistance, there's international programs, there's training. So there's all sorts of opportunities as a spin-off to being a part of this activity.
Mm-hmm. What's first on the agenda? You said it should be launched by the end of January. What's first on the agenda?
Currently, we're still in the desk research phase,
okay.
so that will tell us exactly what's already been done, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Yes,
and so then we will go the next stage. What will signal the start of the project is the workshops for the community members. And so what we will be doing now is gathering those community members who are interested. The Warrior and the Boat Building Program, they come after the start of the workshops and the inventorying process. The boat building program is a 9-month-long program. The Warrior is 8 months, but it's not like it's at the end. They will concur with at a certain phase with the inventorying process.
And how can people get involved in this?
We will be reaching out to people. Also, people can reach out to us on the Cultural Information System at cpoise.gov.ag. I think I gave you a screenshot of that.
Yep.
So it's cpoise.gov.ag, and they can just simply click on the contact form and say, we're interested. There's also a Facebook page, and we will be making some changes on that page to reflect that it's no longer just a mapping project, but the Cultural Information Systems page.
All right, and of course, we here at ABS invite you to send us any information that you need to get out to the folk, and periodically where you are. Of course, we invite you to share your updates with us, and we will broadcast them for you.
Of course, thank you so much, and I hope you will not grow tired of seeing our face, because it's 19 months.
We like news here. All right, we've been speaking with, of course, the cultural advisor and project manager, Dr. Hazra Medica, and of course, Dr. Reginald Murphy. No stranger to us here at ABS, and he is Antigua and Barbuda's UNESCO National Commission Secretary General.